Well, hello there my witchy friends and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Ella and I make weekly videos on witchcraft, Wicca and paganism. So today's video is personally really exciting because I will be talking today about Frau Holle, also known as Perchta. So you may know the famous Brother Grimm fairy tale of Frau Holle. I believe in English it is Mother Holle or Holda a lot of times, in which a young woman falls down a well trying to retrieve her spindle. When she wakes up in a strange place where she does several tasks until she meets Frau Holle, an elderly lady that she stays with and completes more tasks, such as shaking out a pillow, a feather pillow. And then once she returns back home, she gets covered in gold. When her stepsister sees this, she throws her spindle down the well, dives right in after it, and also wakes up in a strange place. However, she does not complete any of the tasks. When she meets Frau Holle, she does start working for her, but she becomes lazy very quickly. And on her way home, she is covered in pitch. So the moral of the story, obviously, is work hard and get rewarded. Very German. Also, I apologize that I didn't add a spoiler, but it's been 210 years, so you had enough time to catch up. So you may know Frau Holle from this story, this fairy tale, especially of course if you are German or Austrian or German speaking, for example. Now, what is interesting here is that this obviously is written by the brother Grimm, so the Grimm brothers. But did you know that one of them, Jacob Grimm, actually was a linguist, philologist, jurist, and a folklorist? So he actually studied a lot of German mythology and he preserved it in Deutsche Mythology, or German mythology. So thanks to him, we truly are able to remember Frau Holle, and she was preserved through these fairy tales. But who is Frau Holle, or Goddess Holle? So she may come in the names of Holle, Hulda, Holde, Perchta, Berchta, Bertha. There's a few different names for her depending on the regions. So in northern Germany is usually Frau Holle, and then the Alpine region and like lower Germany, Bavaria and such, is Perchta. She also has been related to the Norse pantheon and is said to have evolved into, for example, Frigg or Freya. I personally would associate her more with Hel. She is said to be an ancient supreme goddess, actually predating the Norse pantheon, meaning Odin, Freya, Loki, and so on. And her names usually are said to relate to the same being or same type of goddess. So the name Perchta is most likely a blend of the more Celtic and Germanic languages fused together. And especially in Germany and Austria, Switzerland, and even northern Italy, Perchta or Frau Holle has a lot of significance and you see her quite frequently. So Frau Holle, as in the fairy tale, is usually associated with spindles or weaving. She also was said to have introduced weaving flax seed into thread. She also is said to ride a wagon or sometimes a distaff, which also kind of relates to witches riding on a broom. And she was said to govern the weather, specifically winter. So for example, snow. She is said to be connected to the otherworldliness, the winter time, the other side, oftentimes giving her the name Dunkle Großmutter or dark grandmother, or Weiße Frau, white lady. Children who have passed away are said to go to her, and especially when Christianization came along, she was really heavily associated with witchcraft. There also is a lot of lore, especially tying in that witchcraft with the Rauhnächte. Rauhnächte translates roughly to rough nights, and is a time in Christmas time, so it's from December 25th until the 6th of January, and it is essentially, it's very similar to Samhain in that it is a time when the veil is thin and spirits are among us, wreaking havoc sometimes, and our ancestors are near. And Frau Holle was said to be leading the wild hunt, with her in this time. Now, usually Frau Holle is associated more with hard work and making sure that your home is very well taken care of, respected. Hard work she really seems to honor and be associated with. Very much of a hearth, matronly sort of energy, which during the Christianization period actually gave her a little bit of relation to Mother Mary, but specifically during the Rauhnächte or rough nights, she was said to, with her wild hunt, look for anyone that is out of the home, working too hard, especially weaving and working on the spindle was not acceptable. And in general, this time was supposed to be one of rest and one of being calm and kind of looking at all the hard work that you have done in the year and preparing for the next year. So to this day, you still have, especially in more Austria, Perchten. So Perchten or Perchten Nächte are the Rauhnächte time when people will be with masks walking the streets. It's usually a little bit of a festivity nowadays, especially. So those are the more basics about Frau Holle. Let's discuss her in the context of more witchcraft. So she did, of course, survive Christianization through fairy tales. Now, in the fairy tale, she obviously stands for hard work being rewarded. She is more of a crone kind of figure, a matronly figure that is strict but fair. But of course, in a more folk magic and witchcraft sense, we definitely see her be associated with the hearth, taking care of your home, working hard, making sure it is clean and tidy, making sure that all your chores are done essentially. She also is really heavily associated with otherworldliness, death and rebirth. And we heavily associate wells or ponds, sometimes bodies of water, especially in like mountains, with her. They're kind of seen as portals to where she resides in. Sometimes she's even seen as a young maid. We have the young maid and crone kind of aspect to her a lot of times, especially in consideration with the Rauhnächte. So in that time period, a lot of people that wear the masks will actually wear a two-faced one. So a Perchten or Perchter mask, which is usually a more scary one. And then, for example, on the other side, it'll be Frau Holle or Holda, which is a more beautiful young mask usually. Usually, however, she is seen more as a crone figure or a mother figure, really. She is thought to be the protector of children, though sometimes also the punisher of children, especially if those children were misbehaved. Especially in Germany and Austria, there's a lot of like misbehaved children lore. A lot of our fairy tales, the moral of them is always surrounding children not to misbehave. So that is definitely one of them. Is Frau Holle still alive in our cultures today? Definitely. As she is a pre-Indo-European goddess, she is often kind of said to have evolved into different goddesses and is associated with different goddesses around the European areas or cultures. Obviously, the fairy tale is still very popular in Germany, but we do see still a lot of relevance of her today, with her name being used widely as street names, sightseeing kind of names. As I already, of course, mentioned several times, she's very relevant still, especially in Austria with the Rauhnächte, in which she is said to be around the towns. And a lot of people also find that this time of year is one of prediction of how the next year will go, once again associating Perchta or Frau Holle with like oracle, witchcraft, and like seeing into the future. And a lot of more mundane sort of things, for example, are Frau Holle is associated with certain plants, for example Holunder, or that is elder, I believe, in English. Wacholder is another one, which is juniper. So there's a lot of different names tied in with her that are associated with her for plants and such things. So as Frau Holle did emerge from pre-Indo-European times and traditions, as with most of these gods that were worshipped back then, they really kind of moved through Europe with migration, with you know, just human movement, cultures moving around, there's a lot of evolution happening there, of course, for different deities shaping and evolving into something slightly different depending on the culture, depending on the area, the climate, to make it fit to the culture and the climate, essentially evolving into something that is necessary during that time. So a lot of different deities that are associated with Frau Holle actually are, for example, Diana, Kailach, I'm probably really mispronouncing that, I'm so sorry. Baba Yaga, Freya, Frigg, La Befana, and even Hecate. So that's really interesting. Think anything otherworldly, dark, winter time, death kind of goddess. So anything in that sort of spectrum is most likely, or has most likely been, somehow influenced by Frau Holle. In Germany, to this day, there are certain sites named after her. So there's the Frau Holle Pond in Meißner. Lots of streets contain the name Holle or Holda or Hulde, variations of that name. There is a chapel called Amorsbrunn in Amorsbach in Germany, and that place actually has a well, which was a pagan holy site. That one is very heavily associated with Frau Holle, and to this day actually people will take water from that pond or well to use it for fertility, good luck and prosperity. Many people in Germany, especially depending on the region, will still say that it is Frau Holle shaking her pillowcases when it starts to snow. The same, I believe, goes for Austria as well. Of course, that is more in reference to the fairy tale, but as it usually happens, fairy tale and folklore and ancient traditions, they often have a way of merging and blending together. So a lot of people associate a lot of the fairy tale lore with the goddess Frau Holle as well. And some people even believe that cutting down an elder or a juniper tree is bad luck. However, I've also heard that for the oak trees and a bunch of other trees, so I believe it is generally thought to be bad luck to cut down a tree, especially one of the more sacred trees. So I hope this very brief introduction to Frau Holle was of interest to you. I personally worship Frau Holle, and so it's really exciting for me to talk about this. So if you have any questions, I would love to talk about it more and discuss it more. Let me know if you have ever worked with or kind of looked into Frau Holle or Holda, Perchta, whatever you want to go with the name of. So if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I do also now have my Patreon back up, which is super exciting. I also have a private Discord server for that Patreon. And so if you have any extra questions or if you would like to see more content, that will be there. So if you would like to support me and this channel, then that is one of the ways that you can do that. And as usual, I have all of my social links in the description box below. I will also be listing books, sources, and other references that I think are of interest for you for this video, for Frau Holle, Perchta, in the description box. Some are German, some are English, so definitely have a look, take a look if you like. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Blessed be. Bye!